So diving into the next slide here, I wanted to use a real life automotive example that really demonstrates some of the tariff impact in this industry. So I currently work for Denso, which is a tier one supplier. They're the second largest supplier in the world behind Bosch. So this is something that we received from a tier two supplier. So I'm just gonna kind of read through some of it, and I blurred out the supplier's name just to, for their sake. So I'll just call them Supplier X. So they sent this to us and all the other different tier ones that they utilize to support the customers. So, as it says, dear supplier, as you're aware, the U.S. government implemented 25% tariffs on all imports from Mexico and Canada as of today, March 4th, 2025. Additionally, in response, Mexico and Canada have imposed corresponding reciprocal tariffs. Supplier X has no intention to absorb these costs. Supplier X purchases various parts from you as directed by our mutual customer that may now be impacted by these tariffs. Supplier X hereby rejects any attempt to pass along the cost of these tariffs on all directed business we have with you and rejects in advance any unilateral attempt to modify our contractual terms. So essentially, what this is saying is that any costs that we have that could increase, they're not paying, right? So this is something that really shows maybe some of the tension that could persist in the automotive industry where suppliers are getting these increased costs, OEMs might not want to pay it, and it could cause profit decrease. And as Jim Farley stated, it could impact a lot of their profits and increase risks for these different OEMs. So just to continue here, you would directly source the business by the customer at pricing and terms negotiated and agreed to between you and the customer. Any tariff that supplier X is forced to pay in order to receive your parts will result in a debit of your account with supplier X. Supplier X will only receive or only revise our purchase orders with you once we have received written confirmation from the customer that you and the customer have reached a new agreement with no cost impact to supplier X. So this really demonstrates an email that they sent that really wanted to, I guess, show and demonstrate that they're not going to take any of these costs on, that a supplier could increase costs and they're not responsible to pay any of those costs. So, as I stated before, this could really cause tension for different suppliers, OEMs, and overall just a huge impact to the automotive industry as a whole. As I discussed in the prior slide, these consumer costs will be increased, as well as suppliers could start to have tension between each other, start to sue. You never know what could really come about these specific tariffs. And this is really another reason why we really chose to go against tariffs in our presentation here. The automotive industry is something really large and big to us within Michigan, since all of us are from here, especially with the big three presented here. And a lot of layoffs could occur because of this and all the different profit loss and risk that all these OEMs and suppliers could have. So I think overall this is just kind of a example that really demonstrates the tariff impact and a supplier coming forth explaining that they're not going to cover any of these costs. So any cost that we have or that other suppliers might have, they're not going to cover that. So that's something that's going to fall into the customer, which in my case would be Toyota, since that's who my customer is. So just being able to understand that these OEMs could really have a large impact from these tariffs, and the suppliers are really in a state where they try to have cost savings as best as they can, but at the end of the day, these cost savings have to be paid by someone. So really understanding this, and this is a huge section here of we'll discuss as well with the plants and how those plants are being affected. So yeah, thank you.